Happy Thursday! Welcome to SJU. I am delighted today. You want to know why, Joe Starr?
Why?
Because we have Keanu bookmarks.
Ooh.
And we have you, and you got new hair. We have Danielle Radfor. Dan Murrell is here. I'm in between. We have a Dan sandwich, a Danwich, if you will.
Well, is
and
it,
I know you will.
Is it a Roth Joe Club on a Dan bread?
That's
a discussion
to say.
we need to have.
Yeah, that's hard to say. I feel like that's a matter of the audience's perception.
Yeah. Is the story today in Keanu bread?
Yeah. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay.
The story is in Keanu bread, and we're going to start with the first slice.
Hello.
We got a lot of sandwich talk in the comments, and I just want to make sure that we're,
No, we wanna
we're
be
doing
clear.
this.
We
We actually
wanna-
genuinely do get a lot of Dan sandwich talk in the comments.
You know
There's all
what?
kinds of talk in the comments going on.
Well, sandwiches are an important topic for all of us. I think we can agree on one thing, and that's sandwiches.
I have one in my bag right now.
Yeah, I'm having a
Watch.
sandwich.
I have one in my lap.
Yeah. I'm
You
eating
do you,
one.
Joe.
I'm just going to eat it when I'm off frame.
I'm eating one right now. We just started.
The longest vamp. What are we waiting for?
We're going to talk about the John Wick trailer for Keanu Slice of Bread 1. The John Wick trailer was released today, and it's one of those things where it's like, it's tasty, it's delicious. I'm not saying no to it, but I didn't need it because I'm already married to you, John Wick 3. We're already together. How about you?
I'm very excited about this movie. I like that he said guns, lots of guns, like he did in The Matrix.
Yes.
And I'm
Yeah.
now hoping that he says that in Bill and Ted 3. And
Yes.
so we get it becomes like a trilogy by one line. Yeah, I'm pumped about this movie. I think Stahelski's an amazing action director. 1 and 2 both feel very distinct from each other in terms of action style and look. And I'm really excited to see what 3 looks like.
Is this now the Fast and the Furious? Wait for it, though. The Fast and the Furious of hand-to-hand and gunplay action sequences. Like, they just keep having it up the ante to, like... Did we not see the swordplay on a horse?
Yeah.
I didn't need to see it. I was already in, but I was glad it was there, Dan.
I mean, I think it's far better than any of the Fast and Furious movies, number one. Number two,
Different.
I like that it's upping the ante. I think this movie's fallen victim to how marketing works right now, which is like you have to put out 3 trailers no matter what.
Yeah.
No matter what, or people will forget that you have a movie, I guess. Because I agree, there's a good trailer, but it didn't show me anything that the last trailer was holding back for me that I was like, ooh, I gotta
This is
see
the
that.
one, yeah.
Yeah.
It still looks really cool, and I still want to go see it. So I think this is one of the movies where I'm looking at where it's like the modern marketing says that you have to release X amount of things X amount of months before, where it's like this is a movie that could have done with 1 trailer, like Mission Impossible. Like they had that great, didn't they have 2? They had that one, yeah, they had that great trailer, and there was another trailer I think that came out after
Yeah.
that. That's like, no, you already had one.
Yeah.
Greg.
Yes.
Just
Keep
stick with
playing
that
it.
one. Keep playing that one. Yeah, but it looks great.
Yeah, the only thing that I wish that this trailer had, although I'm happy, I guess, that they're also holding it back, is Jason Mantzoukas, who I am very excited for.
Yeah.
I love that actor. I love him in everything. He is so funny. The poster with him looks amazing. I guess he plays a character named TikTok. And so the
Sure.
TikTok thing is on a lot of the posters. It seems to be some kind of a running theme. Really happy. Angelica Houston, just anytime, just all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every time, yeah.
Halle Berry in the mix. Some kind of something happened there. I do like they did the meta line with Angelica Houston all over a puppy, because this is obviously the question we've all asked ourselves since 80 people died for a puppy. And I think the only answer is, the answer that he gave I thought was inappropriate, which was it wasn't just a puppy. It's like, yes, just a puppy.
Well, the puppy was the tipping point.
Sure, but still, I think that math plays. I feel like that's science, right? 1 puppy, 80 humans. Works for me.
Okay.
Yeah, does that not?
Roth math.
Do you guys?
I don't want
Is
to
my
get into.
murder
I don't want to
math
get
off?
into how many human lives 1 puppy is worth. That's a question for philosophers.
We can't even get through sandwiches right now.
Yeah, that's for we'll let the comments handle the puppy to human
Yeah.
Ratio.
conversion rate.
Yeah.
Socrates said.
Well, we can't. Yeah, that's true. I guess we've given them sandwiches. You guys had a lot of work to do today. You got to do puppies and humans and sandwiches, not all together, ideally. Do we have more things on the horses and the sword play
Is
that
it
we
still
would like
called
to discuss?
Parabellum?
Well, I was hoping that they would just decide to take Parabellum off of it because it's John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum. But you have to
there it
know-
is. Yeah, it's still there.
People are either going to call it John Wick 3 or they're going to call it John Wick Chapter 3. No one is going to... The Parabellum may as well be excised completely. No one is going to call it John Wick Parabellum or John Wick 3. It's always going to be John Wick 3, so why
Why fight
Unless
it?
you take the chapter 3 off and then call it John Wick Parabellum.
Yeah.
But why?
Which I'm very glad they did.
Why both?
It doesn't make a lot of sense, and I think it was Spencer that pointed out to us that they are using like movie hyphen other name to confuse you into thinking that you don't need to see the other 2 that came before it, right? So it's like,
But it still has 3 in it. So.
but they failed here because they just did all of it.
Yeah.
They were like, well, we're not sure which works, so we're going to A/B test it in one title.
In the law,
what
we call
happens.
that belt and suspenders.
I mean, really, all you have to do is say Keanu's on a horse. That's it.
John Wick, Keanu's
John Wick,
on a horse.
Keanu's on a horse.
Yeah, Sword Horse.
Sword horse. Thank you. That's
John
why
Wick,
you're the writer.
Sword Horse.
It looks great.
Yeah,
Looks really good. Like just the look of it, not like quality wise. Like it looks
We get
really
a JT.
cool.
The dog's biting a man in the balls.
Yeah.
I think that,
so happy. Why are you taking away JT's happiness?
I
Well
think
done.
JT is making a very excellent point here about the dog army, and we failed to discuss the dog army on this one, but I think it's an important part of this plot.
I mean, they're dogs. I think last time we talked about it, I realized I even got caught up in this. We were like, he's using dog. They're using dogs. It's like, yeah, people.
Yeah,
That's
people
cops
use
use dogs. People use dogs. It's not like they're unicorns.
Taking a bite out of
But
crime.
it doesn't have the same metaphorical significance
Who was that
as John
stuntman
Wick.
that signed up to have their dick chewed off
Oh,
by
that's
a
like
dog?
I feel like that's Stuntman 101.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
day you're like,
Universal
I'd like to
Studios
stunt.
show.
They're
Yeah.
like, all right, buddy.
I mean, what a terrible way to earn a living. Just have a
It's
Doberman on
padded.
your junk.
They pat him.
Oh,
Yeah.
Come on,
it's
man.
It's not
very
Jackass,
you can-
Billy.
I
It's
do
not-
not want
I-
a dog aiming at anything on me, padded or not.
But here's
like
the thing:
the
if you wear a
jaws of
cup and someone kicks you, like it's not like you don't feel anything. Like it's
Yeah.
still not going to be fun. That's not a fun day of work for that guy.
No, but he's choosing it, and stunt. Actually, it's really hard to. Well, I'm just saying, it's really, really hard to get into stunt.
Just a funny second. Well, he's choosing it.
It's consensual, Billy.
Sure.
I feel worse for the Common and Keanu stunt guys in part 2 that just had to throw themselves down those stairs as hard as they could.
Yeah.
There was one stunt
was rough.
sequence I was watching for Vikings, you know, the TV show Vikings. I was on the set, and they were just literally setting a guy on fire, having him climb, scale a wall, and then fall into water, like a number of times in a row. And it is
Sorry, Dale, we didn't get it.
And the crazy part about it is that it's very, very hard to get into stunts. It's like one of the hardest fields to get into in Hollywood. You basically have to be a legacy born into it, or marry into it. It's really, really tricky.
Father was a stunter.
No, really,
grandfather
yeah,
was a
yeah.
stunter.
I had a friend whose dad was a stuntman, and she became one, and her brother became one. She eventually was like, F this, and now does PR because she got hit in the head with a motorcycle. Whatever, it
That's fair.
happens. So the point that I'm trying to make is this with stunt people is that A, yes, that's crazy. B, a lot of people want to do it. So a lot of people are clearly nuts. And 3, Zoe Bell, famous stunt woman, who then became an actress in her own right, she was talking about how it is a pressure as a stunt person to, like, you can't say no. Right? Like it's almost like you're in a constant state of I dare you.
Speaking of, if you guys like her, she's in a great documentary called Double Dare, which I recommend to everyone. That's
Yeah.
about female stunt women.
Yeah.
Female stunt women. I hate you.
Mark Summers.
Zoe Bell,
the announcer, Harvey.
So she was the stunt
trying to
woman
get something
for
out of a
Xena. Zoe Bell was the stunt woman for Xena, and then she also ended up doubling for Kill Bill,
Yeah.
and then Tarantino cast her.
Yeah, that follows her story through like her last days of shooting in Xena up until getting cast and then through Kill Bill.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
That's cool.
This has been Zoe Bell Talk.
Yeah.
And
Bell ringing with Roth Cornet.
bit in the balls. You know, speaking of bell ringing and bit in the balls, we love you and we want you to like and subscribe to our channel. We come to you with fresh entertainment every single day with multiple stories. I gotta say, I've requested to get the video of Billy's niece ending a phone call by saying like and subscribe because she watches so much YouTube, which I think is so much more effective than me asking you to do anything. But since we don't have that today, Joe Starr, I'd like you to play the role of Billy's niece saying like and subscribe.
Hi, I'm Billy's niece. Like and subscribe.
Yeah.
Got into a weird rabbit hole here.
I have bodies in my room, and I'll wear your skin. Like and subscribe,
Yay! Now you're liking and subscribing, aren't you?
or I'll be in your dreams.
Good. All
went
right,
well.
we have a little. That went great. I thought we killed it.
Yeah.
We have a little Forrest Gump news because we're very topical. Before we get to the second piece,
You guys
of
seen this
Keanu.
movie?
Hear about
Have you
this?
seen this? Have you heard about this?
This is
Dan?
the craziest thing I've heard in a long
I
time.
love this
I
story.
love
I'm very
it.
excited.
So this is via Yahoo and Cinema Blend. Eric Roth, who won an Oscar for a screenplay for Forrest Gump, he was talking about how there was going to be a Forrest Gump sequel, which everyone would have thought with the success of that movie, both critically and at the box office, there would have been a sequel, right? Mm-hmm. Well,
Forrest Gump Parabellum.
Yes, Parabellum was the Forrest Gump 2, Parabellum Run Forrest. It was the working title. So he turned in a script the day before 9/11, and then 9/11 happened, and he said that he and Tom Hanks and Robert Zemeckis got together and said, we can't do this anymore. It has no meaning, because Forrest Gump was totally built on this, like, kind of American vision of itself as being very optimistic, and it was a super aspirational, which was not the tone of the country at that time at all. So they just felt that they couldn't do it. But what's weirder is the choices that they were going to make for the sequel. Dan, would you like to call out some of your favorites? And then I'd like you all to be prepared
yeah.
to
Well-
name your favorite aspect of the script.
This is the screenwriter, so direct from the source, he claims that he was going to have Forrest in the back of O.J. Simpson's Bronco. Quote, he would look up occasionally, but they didn't see him in the rearview mirror, and then he'd pop down.
That's my favorite.
Okay.
Like, that is what are you thinking?
Forrest was going to be an excellent ballroom dancer.
Sure.
And then at one point, he was going to dance with Princess Diana.
That I'm
Sure.
kind
Sure.
of here for, though.
Okay. It does not include the part where he said the movie opens with Forrest's son. He's like, well, the
Oh,
movie
that's
opens and Forrest's son has AIDS. It's like,
Okay.
okay. So there's
All
that.
right.
He was going to begin a new relationship with a Native American woman, which was going to lead to what they say was a big reason with why the movie was
This is so
killed.
weird.
So these are Eric Roth's words, because I really could not put them in any different words. Quote, the big event in that, which you could see was only diminished in tragedy, I guess, because it's the same tragedy. Every day he, Forrest, would go to wait for his Native American partner. She taught nursery school at sort of a government building in Oklahoma City. You can see where this is going. And he was sitting on the bench waiting for her to have lunch, and all of a sudden the building behind him blows up.
I mean, I have so many questions, but the first is that they decided not to do the film because it was a version of American optimism, and yet this is where you decided to place Forrest historically. This is
Geographically, none of this makes
None
any
of it
sense.
makes
What,
any
he's in
sense.
California.
Yeah.
He's in,
Is
is he
he
running
still-
across the country?
Yeah, is he
again?
still,
Yeah.
that's because he's still running.
He's doing an AIDS walk across the country
this
for
is
his kid.
insane.
it's insane.
First of all, and I looked, and I mean, he's been saying this since like 2008 that he handed in the script the day before 9/11, which perhaps he did. But like, I would like to, if you go back in the interviews, I swear I have read 20 interviews from 20 different people that claim that their project was canceled because they turned it in the day before 9/11, and then 9/11 happened. I'm like, well, we can't do it.
No more movies.
I feel like it's been mythologized as like this huge reason why these projects didn't move forward. When I feel like sometimes maybe it just wasn't very good.
It could. I mean, it was a Monday. That is a deadline day. So
Yeah, I'm not saying this wasn't.
Yeah.
I just feel like there's now a Hollywood mythology built around. I had this project ready, and it was ready to go, and then couldn't
Wait,
do it.
9/11 was on a Monday?
it was on a Tuesday. I believe.
It was on a Tuesday,
Yeah.
okay.
So the day before would have been when people needed to hit some deadlines.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, this was crazy no matter what.
I don't feel like this would have happened
Yeah, this
regardless.
was like I feel
No,
like this was like a momentary, like Eric Roth hadn't slept in 2 months and was slightly like he was a little bit hallucinating. Thoughts, Joe?
So the books are ridiculous. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with the
No.
Forrest Gump books at all, but they're very weird.
they are.
Like,
He went to space, right? He
yeah,
had
he
a
went
pet
to
monkey.
space. Yeah, they're nuts.
Yeah.
So the book is, or the movie is
See,
like
like
a
the
very.
further we go, the more I'm into it,
Yeah,
though.
the movie is like a very like maybe loose adaptation, especially tone wise and feel wise. So this feels more like the weird ass books. Yeah, this would have been absolutely nuts. I think a lot of it because the original Forrest Gump was at least set further enough back that people could have some hindsight. older folks could sort of detach from what they grew up in a little bit and be like, oh, look at that. And younger folks like me who were not born yet could go, okay, look at all those people on in front of the Washington Monument, or whatever.
Yeah.
I know about that thing from school, sure, but putting him like in OJ's Bronco
How did he get there?
so weird. Like, this is not My Beautiful Gump. Like,
What was he doing in Los Angeles? Like, I fell asleep in the back of this man's car.
And
the
then
next thing I
and the
knew,
next scene,
there was all
crashing
kind of
down the
helicopters running around and TV. Like, what are you talking about?
But the other thing is that they're sitting there saying like, oh, we couldn't do it because it was all about optimism. Every event here is horrible and tragic.
Yeah, that's
and
another sort of weird thing is like the 80s and 90s are not, I feel like, not considered optimistic decades. Like the 80s is the decade of excess. Greed is good.
The 80s have been retconned as the neon fun decade.
Yeah, which... and then I
Having
guess at
Forrest,
some
like,
point
go
the
to a
90s
crack
will be
house.
retconned, but the 90s was like all just starter jackets and corn. Like that was the 90s.
Sure.
Ooh, indeed.
Yeah, and I mean, unless Forrest Gump's gonna be a roadie for Mudvayne, like I
feel like the 90s was largely characterized by the idea of like actual angst. Like, I am so sad, mostly
Kurt
because
Cobain,
I'm bored.
so sad. Yeah,
but it was like Spencer has pointed this out. It was like all of these movies about this nihilism that was born of like everythings too easy for me.
Right.
Which
The
is
economy's
like, God
too good.
bless.
Yeah.
You know?
My middle class life is
Yeah.
too secure and boring.
Like if you think
Ennui.
about the Fight Club narrative, where it's like, oh, I just can't do this easy job anymore, where I fly everywhere. I'm gonna beat myself up.
The only thing I have time to do is spend money recklessly on nice Swedish furniture.
despite my amount of disposable income, I am still just a rat in a cage.
Yeah. So, what were we talking about?
Forrest Gump, man.
Yeah. Forrest doesn't belong in either of those
This would have
decades.
been. I mean, this definitely would have been one of those sequels that like kills the first one.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
this would have actively ruined the first movie.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe it's just a little bit of hindsight and like Tropic Thunder came out, but at least for me, like Forrest Gump was a hat trick. I don't know that Tom Hanks. I don't know. I think this might test the charm limits of Tom Hanks, who is the most charming man. He got Big is a dark, screwed up movie, and only the charm of Tom Hanks made it sweet and fun. I don't know if Tom Hanks could have done the hat trick of playing a mentally stunted man twice.
Yeah, I just, where else could Forrest have gone? Would he have been at Seattle Center the day that Kurt Cobain passed away and Courtney
Like,
Love
what
is
other
reading out the
dark
suicide
events
letter?
did we
Like,
put him in? Yeah.
That man gave me his flannel.
It just sounds
Why
like
didn't they put him at like the fall of the Berlin Wall or things that were historically significant in a positive way?
well, and also this posits the notion that the reason that people like the first Forrest Gump movie was because he went to a lot of places, which he did, and he does cross paths with a lot of historical events. But that's not why people like the movies. It wasn't because JFK showed up. It's because they had a good character, him and Jenny and the kid, and like like it was a great performance.
Jenny.
Lieutenant Dan, like that wasn't. It wasn't like I met Lieutenant Dan in Times Square. And we saw this man shooting a movie, and it was Martin Scorsese, and it was Taxi Driver.
And then we went to Planet
one cares.
Hollywood.
Yeah, like it's not.
Although I think that's a better pitch than what we currently
It's not
have.
about like where he was and the things that he saw. Like that was the backdrop of it, but it's about the characters. And it seems like he completely missed the
That
point and
really
wrote a sequel about him
hits it,
trotting across the country, jumping into the back of every news event that happened between 1980 and 1996.
Every horrible news
Every
event.
terrible
How the
thing.
hell
Yeah.
are you going to have Jenny dies, and then behind him, his new love blows up in a domestic terrorism act? That's not optimistic at all, Forrest. No. I don't know. This
And then
is,
a
to
feather
me,
flies up, or
I don't understand. Like,
don't.
what kind of box of chocolates is that?
This would have been.
I was trying to think of a very
That's
90s
like,
snack.
it's like Forrest Gump 2.
Dunkaroos.
Like,
Like a box of Dunkaroos.
it's like Forrest Gump 2, like the box is poison, Forrest. Like everything's fucked. In this way, I think it would have been an incredibly 90s movie.
True. Very true.
This would have been an awful movie.
Oh,
This
yeah.
would have been a
This
catastrophe.
would have been horrendous.
Let's be honest
So
here.
much so
This
that I
movie
w-
was never going to be made.
No.
No.
No way.
As it exists here,
And the studio had a excuse to give all of these.
it was certainly this movie was never gonna. Maybe it would have been rewritten, but
Yeah.
no one was ever going.
Yeah,
to make
as
this
it,
movie.
like, there's no way Tom Hanks would have looked at this, because this is also like Tom Hanks at the height of his powers at this point. Like Forrest Gump, like, cemented his return.
Yeah.
I feel like, and there's no way Tom Hanks looks at this script and is like, O.J. Simpson, Princess
Oklahoma
Diana,
City,
Oklahoma
yeah.
City, AIDS, 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 everybody has AIDS, like the South Park song. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Not a chance.
However, I would like someone to take some action figures or whatever you have available and reenact the version of this script for us in a 5-minute form and submit it to the internets for review.
The Forrest Gump 2 Film Fest.
Is there a Tom Hanks action figure that you could use?
There must
I'm
be.
gonna have
be.
to find this.
Isn't
Yeah.
there that
Well,
line
then-
action figures for like every movie now?
They did the sketch on
that's-
SNL with like the Philadelphia action set. And it's like Denzel, or maybe I think it was SNL, but yeah, it was like the play set, but it was like for Philadelphia. But I'm trying to think of Tom Hanks. I mean, there's Woody, Sheriff Woody toys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
use Sheriff
use
Woody
Woody.
toy.
Use Woody.
Yeah.
There's that.
Woody's pretty.
There's a Simpsons Tom Hanks toy.
There you go.
Simpsons Tom Hanks,
Yeah,
yeah, okay.
you have
Makes sense.
toys available to you for this mission should you choose to accept it, which you should choose to accept it. And then title the movie any way you want. Pitch your title, Danielle.
Forrest Gump 2, Forrest Gumpier.
Ah,
Forrest Gump 2, the gump and the juice are loose.
ooh.
Stop, Forrest, stop.
There you go.
That's also what you say when you need a waiter to help you at Bubblegum.
That's true. You just want the little thing
Yeah,
that says
stop.
stop, Forrest, stop. That's right.
You guys, there's another long-awaited sequel that we actually do want to see because we are here to be excellent. Bill and Ted 3 is announced for 2020, and this has been announced and talked about for literally, I think, 100 years. This is via EW, and apparently Keanu Reeves, who does still look very John Wicky, and Alex Winter have gotten together. For some reason, they're at the Hollywood Bowl, but the point is they are there to announce that this is actually going to go into production. And we're going to get this movie. It's going to production in New Orleans. I don't know why they announced where they were going to be, because I know I'm going now. Dean Parasat, director of Galaxy Quest, in The Returning, is going to be directing this film, and it's going to be written by the original writers Chris Matheson and Ed Solomon. You guys, what's Wild Stallion up to? So apparently the movie posits that they have not reached their rock and roll destiny, and yet the world still must be saved by this one magical song that clearly we can never hear. Are you excited, or do you think this is dangerously too long anticipated?
Both.
All right.
I'm very excited. It is one of those movies that I won't believe exists until I'm watching it.
Yeah.
And even
Because
afterwards, you think you might be on
It
a little
might
acid?
be a dream, yeah. And I do think it also runs the risk of being, at this point, far too expected, so that if it's anything less than great, people will be like, So I'm very excited for it. I love both of those movies, and I hope this is good. But at the same time, I'm worry-sighted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit, right? Because it's almost like this movie is like the Wild Stallion song, right? Like it's so anticipated, it's so described as being perfect. You can't actually do it. It just must live in your mind.
I really like the first two Bill and Ted movies, but they weren't like part of my DNA growing up. I always really enjoyed them, but for me, they weren't like, hell yes, Bill. Like if I have, right now on Twitter, it's like, what are the 5 movies? Describe your blah, blah, blah. Those wouldn't be on it. But I really love them. So for me, I'm just more excited. Like that was all I need for a trailer, was how just excited those two actors looked to be doing this. Like they genuinely seemed just pumped and warm, and Keanu Reeves is the kindest dude in the world.
I love him.
So for me, that's kind of all I need. I'm looking forward to seeing what weirdness they do with this. I really have no expectations for it at all.
Alex Winter's really sweet too. He ended up doing a bunch of documentaries. Actually,
yeah.
he did one about the dark web.
Ooh.
Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah. It's called Dark Web. Yeah,
That's a great name for it.
I thought so too.
Yeah,
Danielle?
oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no.
No, please.
Oh no, it just it's. I feel the same way. I like watching buds have fun on set. That doesn't always necessarily mean it's going to be a good movie, but I think that a lot of times if the actors are enjoying themselves, that can translate. Especially something like this, which is so fun and lighthearted. I agree, like Bogus Journey. I'm of an age where I usually see the second one first. Bogus Journey was my first Bill and Ted, and so that's my Bill and Ted movie. But yeah, I'm excited. But same as Joe, it's not one of the most important movies of my childhood.
See, I had the movie, I watched the TV show, I read the comic, I had the toys, I had the phone booth, I had Rufus, I had Bill and Ted, I had it all. So, like, for me, this is like, okay, if this is actually happening,
Yeah, this movie needs to be excellent to you. I get it.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
not saying this movie needs to be excellent. I just mean, like, this movie is a big deal for me. I get it.
No,
The
I know.
excellent
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm a little more just. That's why you worry the most about the things that you love.
Yeah,
because you don't want to see them
definitely.
get hurt.
Yeah.
And I think there's a perception that like Bill and Ted was the one great movie followed by a kind of sequel, and I disagree with that wholeheartedly. I think Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey is a weird ass crazy movie, but stands right up there with the original because it is so different and so weird and unique and not at all what the first movie is. Maybe
Yeah.
that's why some people are kind of put off by it, but I would just love for this to be a third weird.
The thing that sort of makes me excited is sort of Winters talking about the fact that like trying to get this one made has felt exactly like trying to get the first one made, where
Yeah.
everyone's just like, what?
Yeah.
No. And so that kind of makes me happy that no one's been jumping at the bit to do this whatever weird ass thing they've been handing the studios.
I'm excited about it. I mean, one of the things that I like about the sequel, and correct me if I'm wrong here because it's been a long time, they had the princess through line, right? The princesses showed up in the sequel too, didn't they?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were when Bill and Ted were replaced, they were still around, and
Yeah.
they're part of the band still.
Yeah. And the reason I appreciate that is that was so rarely done. Almost always with a sequel, whatever female love interest that existed before in the first movie would be recast inevitably, and often murdered with extreme impunity, like just brutally.
Or just Elizabeth Shue goes with Daniel LaRusso to the dance and then just falls in love with some dude.
And then what happened? Oh, it's this girl now. So it's a small
Her name is
thing.
Yukio Roth, and she's a delight.
Fair enough. I wouldn't argue. Billy,
Yeah,
do you have a Bill and Ted thought?
I'm still looking at Tom Hanks things.
Oh.
To be honest with you. I did find that a Forrest Gump pop is coming in June, and I'm now kind of excited.
Oh,
about
that's the best way to do this stop motion Forrest Gump sequel because there's pops for everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now Forrest Gump can meet.
Queen of England and Nebula.
Oh man, one of you's got to work on this. Come
Gumpians
on.
of the Galaxy is a movie I would watch. One day, a big purple man snapped.
They had a big
And he's weirdly next
lots of
to
shot in
Thanos. He's just lurking in the forest, jogging along as the snap happens, like for no good reason.
All
Do
those people
it,
disappeared.
do it.
For no good reason at all, then people disappeared.
They all turned to dirt.
Oh man. We're not going to do better than that, so I'm going to end it right there. We have an Us review for you. We have a Shazam review is coming out this weekend. You should watch Movie Fights today. It's going to be Sasha Pearl Raver versus Greg Alba versus Julia Prescott. Who are you rooting for, Danielle? Don't lie.
No one, because I'm a judge and I'm impartial.
Look, I'll say this. I've read the questions, I've read their answers, and just a lot of really important stuff getting covered today.
Oh, good.
in
We're
Movie
gonna
Fights.
fix it.
Yeah,
We're
we're
fixing
fixing
it.
a lot of things. I'm also just very excited for this weird mix of energy.
I know
Yeah.
this is a very interesting. You've said that too, right?
This is it's a very odd combination of things.
Yes.
It's like when I was growing up, I've litigated this before. Where I was called when you went to a fountain and put every drink into the one cup, it was called a suicide. But other people have called it other things. But yes, it's like going to the soda fountain and just putting one of everything into
Yes.
a cup. How's it going to taste? I don't know. Maybe delicious.
Yeah. But you'll definitely find out when you tune in whether it's delicious or a full-on nightmare, a weird combination of things.
Either way, it'll be
What
fun.
we do right here on Screen Junkies. That is the name of our game. Be excellent to each other. Actually, do be excellent to each other and make videos with weird toys for us because just
she
as a
told you
show
to.
of love, because you can and you should. I'm done now, JT.